Hi there. Welcome to Monetize Your Business podcast conversations in partnership with FNB. My name is Hetty, the entrepreneur, and I am your host for today's conversation. I'm really looking forward to today's conversation. We've got yet another brilliant entrepreneur, multifaceted, multi-passionate. So I'm really looking forward to dig deep into it. As you know, I'm never flying this plane on my own. I do have my co-pilot with me, Papa Biz.
Yes, Papa Biz here. I'm glad that we can be able to continue these conversations. Hey, we've had quite a number of them, and I've been learning a lot. I hope the viewers have also been learning, and looking forward to learning more from you.
Yes, absolutely. Our guest for today is Qaqamba Nodada, and she is the founder of Better in Business, which is a really great multi-hyphenate business. So I'm very much looking forward to getting into the nitty-gritties of all the different things that they do that you can also take advantage of. But before we do that, let's meet the woman herself. Qaqamba, how are you?
Hi, Hetty. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very, very good. Looking
Sure.
forward to this conversation.
I'm very excited.
You excited? Yes.
Very excited.
It's always good to chat to fellow entrepreneurs and learn a little bit more about what they do in their businesses, etc. But before we get into that, I think it's important for our audience to get to know who you are, a little bit more about yourself. Maybe you can share with us who you are, where you grew up, a little bit about your foundational upbringing.
So, it's 1988.
Okay.
The country is still very much within the apartheid era,
Yes.
and my father was highly into the regional politics at the
Okay.
time. Very feisty, short man, very powerful.
Yes.
And they give birth to me and they name me Nosichaba Qaqamba Joku. So that's my maiden name.
Yes.
sure. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Nosichaba meaning crown,
Yes.
which is a symbol of power, symbol of authority, symbol of royalty.
Yes.
All of those good, powerful things. And Qaqamba, which a lot of people get it wrong. A lot of people think it's like so. I think that's what it means in Zulu, or I don't know what, but sometimes in Nguni language, Qaqamba will mean painful, but Qaqamba actually means to be bright.
Okay.
Yes.
I love
Sure.
that.
So
Such powerful names and meanings.
definitely coming from the man that raised me, it's very much like him. I don't think I would have gotten any other names. At the time, he was given the task of being mayor of his region.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's around about the time I was born. So I'm born in Kokstad, which is right at the border of the KZN, going into the Eastern Cape.
Yes.
So I'm born and bred in Kokstad. 1992, South Africa's still in the thick of it.
Yes.
Unfortunately, my mother passes away.
Sure.
It was a gruesome turn of events, but we are then raised by my grandmother,
Okay.
special woman, powerful woman, who had also gone through her own things, but had to then start over and help my father raise us.
Yes.
The conversation right now about, the land issues and where we are as a country, it sort of also, dates back. It's sort of like a nostalgia for me when I think about it, because that's also around the same time my dad comes into contact with his first farm.
Okay.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
Because the family was, stressed. They were leaving South Africa, and by chance, they're like, would you like a farm? And he was just at the right place at the right time.
Okay.
Right? So we then become these dual citizens of this little town because school was closer to my grandmother. So my grandmother would take us during the week.
Yes.
And then on weekends, my dad would take us and we would go frolicking in the farm and all of that. So I'm a farm girl at heart, but I'm also an incredible Kasi girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously grew up in Kokstad during the farm and location thing. I got accepted into Rhodes for my bachelor's degree. And, being a farm girl and seeing my father, because he was a salesman for one of the probably the oldest insurance companies in our country.
Okay.
He was a great salesman. He was top tier. And he left that to start his farming career. And I saw him struggle through that. And I remember in varsity, I decided, okay, I'm going to help my dad out. And I would ask him if I could take some of the cabbages and go sell them in town. So he'd be like, cool. And he never protected me. I was always daddy's princess, but I was never really protected. So he was like, cool. And we found a spot. It's in one of my videos online where like I found a spot and he would put me there with like about 30 bags of cabbages, right? And he would be like, good luck. And he'd leave me there. And I would sell those cabbages to Kingdom Come. I promise you, we were all just raised like that. Simultaneously, my brothers were in town selling bunches of spinaches by the rank and all of that, right?
Okay.
So when I finished my degree, I then go into pharmacy. That's how I ended up in Matatiele, because my community service was based there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I met a boy, and then, you know, we got married, and I had kids, and then I never left, you know? Yeah, and funny enough, I married a serial entrepreneur. So, right? So, you know, my I don't know, I've always been grounded in the environment of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And what happens is that when we get married, I take all the reins and I'm telling my husband, we need this marquee, we need this type of tent, these type of tablecloths. And it's all just meticulously planned,
Yes.
you know, by this girl. And he's like, you probably could actually do this. And I didn't believe him at first. At first, I didn't believe him. I was like, I'm fine. I'm comfortable. You know, I'm a pharmacist, good paying job.
Yes.
Right. And he's like, okay, cool. That's fine. And at the time, he is an optometrist by scientific profession. But business-wise, he second generation funeral parlor owner. Qaqamba Nodada funerals. So he grew that while we were, you know, doing our marriage thing. And then to sort of test the waters in this business thing, I was like, okay, let me bake some cookies and see how this goes. Because I'm also very homey. I'm a huge Martha Stewart fan. So I'm very Martha Stewart-y.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me bake some cookies. And I baked those cookies and I sold them to my colleagues. And my colleagues would buy continuously. I was like, oh,
Loved them.
okay. They loved them so much.
That's
and
fine.
they started saying, okay, no, we need birthday cakes. Can you do a birthday cake? I was like, of course I can do a birthday cake. I had a I can't do anything kind of spirit, right? Started baking birthday cakes, which graduated to wedding cakes.
Oh,
Right?
Wow.
So here I am baking wedding cakes. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I can do this. And then I was like, I could probably try really planning people's weddings. And there were people who trusted me with that task without ever having seen my work. And that's how I got into the events management space. And because the funeral industry is also an event sort of space, people need, you know, the marquees, the chairs, the funeral setup, everything. It was also sort of ingrained in my space. So I continued to do that until I got an opportunity to buy one of the biggest deco companies in our space.
Wow.
And at the time, I had grown my business while still working
Yes.
and also starting the tombstone manufacturing business. And I had this opportunity and I was like, I'm going to take it. Yeah. I took the opportunity and I bought the company post-COVID.
post-COVID. Sure.
For $2 million.
Ha.
I invested.
Wow.
Right? And I worked myself to the bone
Yeah.
for that company. And I loved it because it was I'm a creative at heart. I'm really artistic. And it let me have like a creative outlet.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
what's funny is because I'm doing all these things during COVID, I'm also at the workshop because so many people had been affected by COVID that families were now saying, okay, we're not going to focus on the big funeral and as such. What we want are tombstones. And I was in the workshop working myself to the bone with the guys doing tombstones. So it's always I'm either doing a wedding or I'm making sure that tombstones are going out, you know? So that is how my life has been, right? And to tell you the honest truth, Better in Business was actually born 5 years ago.
Okay.
But I was so busy with the events management company that I was like, I don't know, I'm busy. There's a lot going on until the business tanked. Until the business wasn't doing so well anymore. And it wasn't doing well because of a lack of anything. There are so many reasons or so many things I could have done to make it work. But there was a lot of internal things going on within me that eventually I was like, okay, this is not the thing. And I think most of it was that it's such a logistics heavy business. So you're getting a lot of money in, but you're also putting a lot of money out to make sure that these events happen, right? And anything can happen in eventing, anything. And you're going to need the money to patch and pull and do the things. So I had to make a decision. I had to make an executive. I haven't had a funeral for my business. I haven't switched off the machine yet, but I'm understanding that isn't the business for me right now. What I saw is that a lot of people gravitated towards me, business owners gravitate towards me, and it's so easy for me to be encouraging to them. It's so easy for me to be a teacher for them. It's easy for me to, if there's confidence to be found in a person, I will find it and they will know how good or how well they're doing. So that's why Better in Business was born, because I was like, people need personal development. And
everybody does.
Every single person, because
100%.
You would be so amazed the level of people that I've interacted with. I've interacted with people who haven't started their businesses, people who've started their businesses and it's a small business, people who are doing big business, people who are ranking in millions in revenues. And what I found is that personal development is so lacking. It is so lacking. And when you look at the landscape of business now and where business is going and how, the job market is behaving and we're definitely seeing a lot of entrepreneurs, coming up, right? And for those who are already here, personal development is going to be a big deal and is a big deal. So Better in Business was about capacitating business owners to make sure that they're doing better in business. Because to be able to do better in business, you are the most important piece of the puzzle.
That's correct, yeah.
You're taking the words right out of my mouth. I feel exactly the same way.
Right?
Exactly the same. What do you think is the thing that could be holding entrepreneurs back from a personal development perspective?
Ooh, you know what I think? I think that entrepreneurs in general, everyone is scared of how great they could become. And in order to be great, there are demons that you have to look in the eye and tell them to sit down.
Sure.
Right? Because that is what personal development comes with. It comes with a shifting and how you look at it. You have to look internally. Start internally. Right? And we start working. And I remember I was listening to a podcast, I think it was Michelle Expert, and she was talking about how she felt like business owners need therapy. Right? And I concur. Incredibly so. But they also need personal development coaches who are going to assist them on a professional level. Let's have professional conversations. Let's have a conversation about how you're doing internally is affecting the way you're showing up as a leader. It's affecting the way you're showing up as an employee, an employer, and it's affecting the way you're showing up even at home.
Yes. It is. It is
right?
Absolutely.
And when you think about that, like when people think about that, they shy away. They also don't know. It's also a level of not knowing. You don't know how important personal development is to your journey.
Yes.
And to me, this happened for me years back when I was struggling with my employees, right? I was struggling because I was at a point where I was manipulating them to work. What we do as entrepreneurs is that we know what we want the business to be. Right?
Yes.
We know what the business needs.
Yes.
Okay. We might not know everything, but you know the direction, you know the nitty-gritties, the points. And then we hire people and we sort of expect them to just know what to do
out of thin air.
right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I always say I will not reprimand you about something if I have not taught you about it first.
That's a good principle.
And
how else would you know?
Right?
Yeah.
So the default setting is that I need to be shouting and screaming at you when they don't know. Firstly, your business doesn't even have standard operating procedures. It doesn't have policies. So people don't know where to go to find the information to do the work, right? Then secondly, they're being shouted at for not doing work that they didn't know they were supposed to do.
Yes.
So that's where I was like, I had to sort of hone myself in because I was like, I'm a yellow personality. I'm a butterfly. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not easy for me to be shouting at people and, right? And when I got to a point where I felt like I was going to lose that, I had to ask myself a question. What is it that I'm not doing right that's giving me the result of my employees being like this, right? And something said to me that your employees respond to leadership.
Yes.
And that's what they'll respond to.
Yes.
When you lead them, they will respond. Because, I mean, I had examples. I was experimenting myself. I was like, okay, what if I did this? And when I showed up as a leader, when I showed up and I said, this is the plan, guys, this is what we're doing, this is the time we need to get there, except are you guys in plan? Are you guys in line? My things were smooth sailing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So when I started to show up as a leader, that's when I saw, and that's what informed me that, okay, this is how we should be thinking about this and not just going into business and doing business to survive.
I wanted to check with you because you spoke earlier in terms of getting to the point where the one business had failed, and I wanted to see, how did you get to the realization that it's time to walk away from this business? I mean, with ourselves, we had a clothing retail chain some years back, and you know, with the business, it's your baby.
Yeah.
And you're growing, and you give it a lot of invest a lot of time and passion. But as you're growing it, then you see, I can add something else here, or I can add something else here, and you start seeing opportunities. And then as you're adding in different areas, you start seeing, maybe what I was doing over here, I should move away from it. But it's very difficult because every business is a baby. So how did you get to that point of stepping away?
Good question. Yeah.
Do you know what? I got to that point when I started to disappear myself. I look inward a lot, right? And because I'm a creative, I'm more of a thespian, I guess. When it comes to creative things, I'm very personal about them. And I believe that I should be paid for my creativity, right? And what I was giving in this particular area, in this particular region, was not necessarily what was being wanted
Yes.
Right? People knew what they wanted, and I was giving them more than what they wanted, because I was like, okay, I see what you want, but this is actually what you want.
Yes.
Right? To my financial detriment. And when the bank balance starts showing you that, okay, your strategy isn't correct, that's when I was like, okay, I need to try, which I did, but my soul had disappeared from it. And I was like, I need to either choose my health, I need to choose my marriage, I need to choose my children. I'm choosing well if I'm choosing those things over this business, right? Because it isn't as if the business can't survive if you change the strategy, if you add this, and the other, right? Businesses in their essence can survive. We are the people who make them survive.
Yes.
So if we then disappear or we shift, right? If the main ingredient in this whole equation shifts, then it's game over. And that's when it was game over for me, because I was like, there's no way I can additionally, put more into this than I already have.
Yeah.
And people aren't willing to pay for this kind of creativity. And I'm not willing to give you something less, right? Because that is what I have to show people. And showing people something that isn't excellent is not in my repertoire.
So now for what I'm also hearing from you is that there was a strong sense of how you'd see your value.
Yeah.
And often when we engage with entrepreneurs in different space, it's something that we see a lack of.
Yeah.
Where they don't see they don't see value in themselves. We can see that in their pricing. We can see it in their delivery.
Yeah.
We can see it in the expectation and things like that. For you, that area of seeing value, is that from a personal development journey, or do you take it when you look back and think, because I did work corporate for a while, as a pharmacist, you had studied, and then you transitioned away and sort of stumbled into entrepreneurship. Do you think that's part of where it comes from, or where do you think?
I think it definitely comes from a personal development perspective, because I believe personal power is in knowing what you're good at. And I knew in that space that I'm amazing at this. I am creative at this, and I should be paid accordingly, right? Because remember, we are creating memories here. And when you think about either the departure of your loved one or your beginning of your life with your loved one, you think happy thoughts, happy memories. The scenery was absolutely amazing. The decor was beautiful. Like, it was that deep to me, right? So it was very much about my personal element and personal focus, personal power. I knew I was good at this. And I think for most entrepreneurs is that they are still buffering between, am I really good at this? Or like, they don't want to be found out to be frauds, of which they're not, right? You're at a space where you feel like, I don't know, I have a little bit of imposter syndrome. I don't want to be found out. So let me not break their bank too much, just in case. Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So for me, it was a matter of understanding that, I'm good at this.
Yes.
I'm really good at this, and I should be paid for it. And even with Better in Business, my experience qualifies me heavily to be able to speak about it, to be able to teach on it, because I have such a passion for it.
Yes, absolutely. Tell me, what are some of the personal development tools that have helped you along your journey, such as books, podcasts, or even just daily practices that pour into you that you have found to help you to be a better entrepreneur, better leader, etc.?
Number one, I definitely say is, not to be generic, but prayer is a big thing for me, and meditation. Reading. One of the laws of spiritual success, it's a book I was actually reading it just now, by Deepak Chopra, is, the law of, I think it's the law of potentiality. It's the first one. And he speaks about this world that is existent of everything that is possible, and how if you're a big dreamer, everything that is in there can come to fruition, right? And so prayer and manifestation and bringing down the things that are in that dimension to my fruition is a big practice for me. And I make it a point as well to make sure that I put myself in spaces with people who are like-minded in different environments, in different parts of the world. And when I say of the world, if you are telling me today that we are going to Uganda for a business, activation, I'm coming with you.
Yeah.
Right? Because I believe that we are never at the point where we've learned enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're never at a point where we know enough.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
Our businesses, the evolution of our businesses has a lot to do with what we don't know.
Yeah.
So if we put ourselves in spaces, there are opportunities, what we spoke about.
Yes.
There are connections and people that we can collaborate with. There's a whole new world where, and also Joburg works differently to Cape Town.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Works differently to Dubai, works differently to Nigeria. Right? So I like to put myself in those spaces to make sure that I'm developing myself.
Yes.
And because people are different, you want to know what sets people off. Why are people different? I still want to go to Nigeria to understand where they get the confidence.
Yes.
That Nigerian confidence.
That Nigerian boldness is a
Yes.
thing I want to learn
Yes.
through and through. I have my own confidence, but that level of confidence is something that I really
Takes you next
admire.
level.
Yeah.
So I want to check. So where you are at currently in the space, what are the type of clients that you work with?
So I work with small business owners right now, right? Obviously because of where I am, but my dream clients are the corporate clients.
Okay.
There's a bank that I want to work with so bad. I believe in their brand. I believe in the type of people that they work with. There are companies that I've written down that I'm like, these are my dream people, because I know that I can impact and I can give value to the spaces they create for small businesses, big businesses, medium businesses, for employees. I have a belief that entrepreneurs make the best employees, because you know what it feels like to have employees and them being, not doing the thing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I always say, if I had to go back to a job, I'd be the best employee. So I think I have a lot of value to give in those spaces. How I get there through time, I want to see how do I grow this. Right now, my favorite people that I'm working with are small business owners, because they tend to not have the confidence or the strategy to sustain their businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We met at the Bila Bila workshop for Monetize Your Business.
Yeah.
How was your experience of that?
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely fantastic. And I'm it's a thing where I'm like, I can't believe I didn't pay for this.
Yeah, I know. Incredible, right?
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was in such disbelief. And also because I'm always, I'm literally, I don't think I can explain to you or be articulate enough about how it excites me when I see our people doing the things.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Our people trying, right? And I was talking to a lady and she was sitting there. She was just shy and feeling sorry for herself. And by the end of the session, she had gotten into gear. I was like, yes,
Great.
this is what is needed.
Yes.
So I think that workshop and all the other workshops to come are something that is incredibly needed. Like I always say, I remember you spoke about how we think about competition.
Yes.
We have to shift how we think about competition.
Yes.
It's now about collaboration.
Yes.
And that's what I've been trying to instill in people, right? That it's now about collaboration, not competition.
Yes.
Because that's where you get to see how much we can help each other.
Yes.
How much we can help each other elevate.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And with things like with workshops such as these, I believe that there aren't more of us doing them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What you tend to see is that when someone has a platform like this, Hetty, they don't want someone else to have a similar
Yes.
setup
Yes.
or a similar thing going on, right? It must only be about them. But what about the people who actually need it?
Those who need, yeah.
Right?
Exactly. We need
There's too
more.
little of us. We need
100%.
more people doing the kind of work that workshop does for our people, because I saw it. They were so energized. They came out so, like, they were so confident at the end of it. And the speaker, Ndibua, was actually, he was so amazing.
He was amazing, eh?
He was so
full of energy and
He's
passion.
full of energy.
Insight as well.
My goodness. He came to me and he was like, I need your phone. Give it to me right now. I'm like, why? So I gave him my phone. I was like, I want to see if you are what I think you are. So, we just sat and just had a chat. But the workshop is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It's great.
Cool. I'm so glad to hear it. I mean, look, as we're wrapping up, and I mean, you shared such wisdom in terms of your journey as well.
Yeah.
If those who are on the podcast and our viewers, etc., if they need to reach out to you, how do they reach out to you?
They reach out to me via my social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Qaqamba Nodada, Better in Business. It's as simple as that. You can also send me, I really don't mind, it's my business line, 083-776-1284, and we'll take it from there.
Wonderful. Great stuff. It's been such a fantastic conversation. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, taken a lot of nuggets and takeaways. Papa Biz, let me throw the ball in your court. What has been your biggest takeaway from today's conversation?
I think sometimes what will happen is that you'll look at an individual where they are at now, and then it's intimidating because they're doing all types of different things. And one's thinking, how did they even get there? Or how did, because for me, I've got maybe one idea, but I'm not even sure where to start. But what I liked about your journey, how you spoke about it, is that, yes, of course, have a plan. Yes, of course, look to follow through. Sometimes you fall into it.
Yes.
And as you fall into it, you realize, oh, let me add this piece here, or let me add that leg here, and it happens organically.
Yeah.
But the important thing is to start, and then just to be open to moving into different directions if it makes sense. And then also, as you're moving in different directions, make sure that you maintain an understanding of your value.
Yeah.
And when that, how you see the value is not materializing, then have that bold step to be able to say no or to walk away when the time makes sense.
Yeah.
100%. Qaqamba, what final words of encouragement would you leave for our entrepreneur audience?
Wow. I would really, really say that you are the most important piece of the puzzle. If there's a disconnect in you, it's going to show up in how you're doing everything else. It's going to show up in how you lead. It's going to show up in how you manage your business. It's going to show up how you manage your finances. So we need to shift, take a look at ourselves internally and see what needs to change, what needs to be added, what needs to be removed in order for me to be better in my business.
Wow, that's very, very powerful. And I think it actually speaks to my biggest takeaway, which is the personal development side.
Yeah.
That we have to do that inner work. We have to do that refining, and it helps us to become better leaders within our business. And that, of course, then filters through to our staff, our suppliers, our customers, just everybody that interacts with us and our business. So thank you so much for sharing that. And we will also share your contact details in the description box for those who would like to keep in touch with Qaqamba as well. Thank you so much for watching yet another episode of Monetize Your Business podcast conversations in partnership with FNB. We really are looking forward to hearing some of your comments. Make sure that you use the comment section down below if you would like to share your aha moments, your nuggets, etc. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. It's Monetize Your Business in order to plug into our physical workshops as well. So we will see you at our next.